name's Christiana Brenton. I'm one of our group business directors here at Acast, and I'm joined by one of my favourite humans in the world, the exceptionally talented Acast creative director in Danny Murphy. And today, our session is all around the theme of unlocking the full potential of the Acast Creator Network. Now, what do we mean by that? Really, it's about a shift in thinking from podcasts to broader brand partnerships. Now, there's one thing I'm sure we can all agree on from today's content, and that's that we are very much in this golden age of audio. Now, to help put that into perspective for podcasts, there's over 18% of people in the UK now actively listening to a podcast each week. This represents a rate of growth of 59% since December 2019, and this growth is forecasted to continue at another 20% this year and next. So these are obviously some massive numbers. But personally, what I find perhaps even more culturally compelling is the fact that people aren't just listening to podcasts these days. They're watching them on TikTok and YouTube. They're streaming them on Twitch. They're actually wearing their merch, and they're talking about them in Reddit, and they're experiencing their favorite creators live. I think this picture here puts that last point into the best context for us. This is a picture of Rosie Ramsey at the O2 Arena for the Shag Married Annoyed live tour in front of 20,000 people. This live tour sold out in 60 minutes. Yes, at Acast, we absolutely love podcasts, but what has been so interesting for me personally to witness over the past few years is the fact that our creators are now building out huge ecosystems from their core podcast content. And one of the best examples of this is Fern Cotton's Happy Place, one of the most successful health and wellness podcasts. Her podcast has exceeded over 4.3 million UK listens since we onboarded her show last year. But the popularity of the podcast itself has led to the creation of a much broader Happy Place ecosystem, with more and more touch points to engage what's become a tribe-like following. This includes multiple books, new merchandise, product collabs, live events, a meditation series, and even the Happy Place album. And these are all new complementary ecosystems that, of course, welcome authentic brand collaborations. So I'd now like to hand over to Danny to demonstrate two best practice collaborations with Klarna and Virgin Media O2. Two brands who have identified this strategic opportunity and briefed us beyond the podcast, unlocking the full potential of these new creator networks. Over to you, Danny.
Thank you. So the first campaign we'd like to take you through is with Klarna. Klarna briefed us on the concept of money talks. That is, how can we work with Acast creators to spark a genuine conversation around spending, saving and shopping in a bid to improve people's financial wellness? After all, it's no secret that us Brits in particular find talking about money uncomfortable. There's plenty of surveys out there that show time and time again, we'd rather talk about anything other than money, mental health, politics, sex, anything but money. And it's the same for our creators too. They tackle some of the biggest taboos in their podcasts and get intimate about life, death, not about taxes. Very few outside of finance specific podcasts were having open chats about their personal financial situations. So we realised that we need to give them a tool to help them but money. And it's taken inspiration for the trend for conversation cards, typically used to create better conversation and table talk on dates or at dinner with friends. We work with Klarna and their agency partners to create a money talks card game for our creators to play. You can see the lovely shots there from Klarna. And then with the psychologist Arthur Aaron's social vulnerability scale in mind, so he created the famous 36 questions to make people fall in love. We wrote a set of 50 questions about money that increased in intensity to ease people into a more fulfilling conversation. So from the fun and frivolous icebreakers, like what was the last item you bought, to questions like a bit more probing around personal habits, relationships and mindset. So for example, what is your biggest money worry, or in what way has your upbringing shaped your attitude to money? The kind of stuff you wouldn't ordinarily kickstart a chat with unless you were Oprah or something. We also included some wild cards, so quick educational exercises to spice things up and keep the players' energy high when even when discussing credit scores. And then we sent them to our creators. So you can see here Will and Ralph's Two Pints podcast, who we paired up with Kate, also pictured, of White Wine Question Time, Vicky Patterson, who played with Love Island's Amber Gill. We also had Luke and Pete and Melissa and Sophie from Wednesdays Who Drink Wine, who played with Sophie's fiance and private past host, Jamie Lang. These creators play the game in full-length branded episodes that were about 30 to 50 minutes long, while the creators of I'm Grandman, pictured there, the third picture over, and the Chat and Shop podcast, who played in shorter segments, drive into a Klarna site where listeners could claim their own packs to play. And here is a flavour of how that went.
Who do you talk to about money?
I don't think I talked to anyone about it.
No, to be fair, you've spoken to me about money. Get you a drink and you're like, no, I'm joking. Yeah.
What are you talking about?
What is the most recent item you purchased?
Yours is that vibrator from I overspend at night times for entertainment. And that's not a good thing to do. And I would like to save.
I would love to save money on travel.
I thought you were about to say tax.
Tax, yeah.
Tax.
I'm getting a better accountant.
If your relationship with money were a film, what would it be called?
Gone in 60 seconds.
Or Gone with the Wind or something like that.
I actually think you're quite sensible.
At school, we're taught Latin and geography and blah. No one ever talks to us about tax or talks to us about salaries or talks about employment. It's
Yeah.
never spoken to you
Yeah.
about. Saving is really, really important. And Klarna
Raining
teaches
right
you that, which is a great thing. Presh, I dare you, your next date, take the card game with you and play it with your date. The first thing you want to do.
Yeah,
Oh, we'll play a little card game with you. And play it.
Find some real home cheese out there.
We'll also play a couple of snippets from the other shows so you can sort of get a flavour or hear how personal and unique the conversations are. So by giving them a tool and something fun to play with rather than a script, they're opening up in ways I think we haven't heard them previously. So from the anecdotes like this one from Luke and Pete, I believe the card question was, what things in life are worth spending more on?
There's a great bit of advice I was given when I was a kid by my granddad. Most of the time, you're either on your mattress or you're on your feet.
Right.
So make sure you invest
In mattress shoes.
in
Yes.
this new product I brought out, which I'm selling out of the garage, shoe mattresses.
Springs.
Yeah.
Two big
So I
springs on your
sleep
feet.
in a giant shoe now. It's always been
Most
great.
of the
But no,
time,
listen, a
you're either
mattress
on
is a
your
great
mattress
example.
or
You're spending, all being well, you're spending 8 hours a day for the rest of your life in bed. You need to invest in value. So to answer the question, what things in life are worth spending more on, which I think was the question, the things that you personally value. And that's going to be unique to you. You may find that you love cycling more than anyone else. So you spend all your time cycling and you want to buy a nice bike. Don't buy a shitty bike.
Yeah.
You don't want to spend the money. If you can afford to, invest in yourself.
Genius invention, if you ask me. And then to sort of the gentle ribbon between Will, Ralph and Kate after sort of the icebreaker question around films.
Question number 1. If your relationship with money was a film, what would it be called?
Catch Me If You Can. Well, it's true. You think you've got it, and then it's gone, innit? Catch Me If You Can. That'd be mine.
I'm going out of sight because what we're talking about is like I don't talk about it enough. Like I just sort of like try not to think about it unless I have to. So out of sight, out of mind. Plus, Out of Sight is a great film.
Yeah.
What about you, Kate?
Well, what would my spend? No, actually, because I'm a bit of a saver.
Yeah.
Hold on tight, because I'm a bit of. Listen, I love a bit of saving.
And then on the sort of the other end of the spectrum, we've got the two ex-reality stars, Vicky and Amber, reflecting on whether they're happier after their success.
Money doesn't always make you happy, and like showing it off and having all these expensive things, like it's not the be all and end all.
Yeah.
I just always remember, being so content when I was at uni, mate, when I had less. So I always think that when I see people like splashing all this cash, I think, maybe you're not really happy, dickhead.
So all these conversations in turn kickstarted a conversation far beyond podcasts. So the campaign's still live, but so far there are almost 78,000 listens of the full-length branded episodes alone. So that's people listening to a Klarna campaign for over 30 and up to 50 minutes. And some of the episodes even outperformed the non-branded content. So the Will and Ralph Klarna episode, for example, is one of the top 5 shows of all time. But really, these episodes and the game are just a catalyst of a far bigger, wider, far-reaching campaign, from talent socials, you'll see in some of the images there, to influencer outreach and user-generated content. We even created Money Talks gifts to facilitate that, to activations on Klarna-owned channels. And with tens of thousands of people signed up for a physical copy of the deck the creators had, we soon ran out of cards. So Klarna is actually in the process of building the game into the app so everyone can participate in great Money Talks. And what started in podcast is now evergreen. And another example of best practice collaboration is with Virgin Media O2. So Virgin Media 02 and their PR agency, Hope and Glory, came to us with a fascinating piece of research and a great idea. They wanted to supercharge the climate conversation using podcasts after discovering that although 9 out of 10 young people cared about the climate crisis, they don't feel able to talk about it for fear of being judged, cancelled, and not having relatable role models to bring them into the fold. And with COP26 on the horizon, just mere days away, we saw the opportunity to work with our culturally credible creators to amplify the right voices and make younger people feel included. So we recruited Hugo and Seeper of Corrupt FM fame and stars of Chatting Shit, the podcast, and brought them together with Francisca Rocky, pictured environmental youth campaigner, all to create Chatting Shit to Save the Planet, a spin-off Chatting Shit episode recorded in a solar power studio. And as you'll hopefully see from the clip we're about to play, this really wasn't about preaching or being self-righteous, just a down-to-earth chat to break down some of the barriers highlighted by the Virgin Media 02 research and answering some of the audience's burning questions.
What we need to do is make it more sexy for young people.
I think maybe you should coin the phrase, you're making climate change sexy.
Exactly, yeah. I'm making climate change sexy again. Yeah. You know what I mean? By cooling it down. Print some t-shirts. No, don't print t-shirts.
No, don't.
Put them on existing t-shirts.
Yes.
Hey.
Or just get a tattoo.
Yeah. On my
That's a
lower
bit permanent, but
yeah,
no, but it should
why
be.
not? Why not? And not with a tattoo gun, with bamboo and ink.
Exactly.
I'll do it for you.
Yeah, so it's more natural.
Yeah.
love that.
Search Chatting Shit where you get your podcast.
And although it was hilarious, the trio didn't shy away from the trickier parts of the subject, and they reflected on their own experiences. So, which you can hopefully see in this short clip here.
People don't want to get things wrong as well.
Yeah,
and
and
get
people
judged
attack you on there. Like you post one thing.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of scary, to be fair.
Yeah. Oh my God, you don't know about anything.
Yeah, we're gonna.
In all honesty, like sitting down chatting with you has made me feel like
conscious of climate change.
But also, like it's normal for everyone to feel like they don't know much about it, so they're scared to talk about it. So what we.
Of course, it's best listened to when you listen to the whole podcast. They have the whole episode, rather. They have such brilliant chemistry, and I think it's as entertaining as it is educational. Of course, the benefit of using culturally relevant storytellers to talk about this big, meaty issues also meant we caught the attention of other media outlets. So Sky News were among others who picked up and profiled the campaign, interviewing Hugo and Seeper on their experience and the importance of talking to people in an accessible way, especially when it comes to something as overwhelming as the climate crisis. Which meant that once again, what started as a podcast grew into something far, far bigger. Klarna had several podcasts at the heart of their campaign, but as you can see here, just one episode can explode out into culture. So we use the podcast content to create TikTok and Instagram assets, working closely with media agency partners Jump. Virgin Media 02 brought it into own channels, you can see on the bottom right, and our creators who were documenting their journey with their followers the whole time via their personal Instagram pages, which led to some pretty great results.
Thank you, Danny. So, as you can see, this much broader creator collaboration in this instance actually resulted in the highest performing Chatting Shit episode of all time, regardless of the fact that we actually released this bonus content when the show was off season. We also saw a completely new trend to consumption. We saw sustained listener growth over a longer period of time versus our average release patterns, which you can see, the purple line there typically peaks and then peppers out in 1 week. The episode itself also had an average dwell time of 38 minutes, testament to the quality of the content these creators can produce for brands. And equally testament to the Havas team's targeted amplification with the new social assets we created, the episode attracted 7% more Gen Z listeners than the show's average. So hopefully you're feeling inspired by now, but before we finish up, we'd just like to leave you with a few key takeouts. These case studies, of course, are from completely different categories and communicating very different messages, but both have one thing in common. They've leveraged podcasts as the hero content to deliver culturally relevant storytelling and stories that consumers are actually listening to, and on average, giving branded episodes 28 minutes of their undivided attention. Now, we also wanted to use this opportunity to briefly talk about creative best practice, which is one of the most common questions we're asked. one of the simplest ways we can describe this in terms of, thinking about how to best use each format available within podcasts is the fact that sponsorships and ads should focus on what you want me as a consumer to do. These formats are for a combination of brand, but more functional messaging, so product proof points and desired actions. But the most effective branded content has to focus on how you want me to feel about your brand. This is the biggest distinction. What you want me to do in sponsorship and audio ads versus how you want me to feel in branded content. This is a shift from key messages to focus on the exploration of key brand themes, really bringing to life the central creative platform. And combine the two formats for best practice media planning. Through branded episodes, we have long-form consumer engagement and more storytelling, and then we're able to deliver all the functional product proof points through the complementary sponsorship. And one final theme that we hope is abundantly clear now is that we really want to encourage our partners to think beyond the podcast and consider tapping into the entire creator network, as you can see here, and as both of these incredible case studies demonstrate. And ultimately, time and time again, when agencies and clients are briefing us in this way, we're able to achieve much more meaningful results. So thank you for your time. That's it from us. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out, salesuk@acast.com.